Okay, well, I've been debating Christian believers on their YouTube videos, other people's YouTube videos in the comments section, and there's one question I've posed many times, and I continue to get incredibly dumbfoundingly inadequate answer to. And that is the question of mental health in biblical times. If you were alive in biblical times, and I constantly get asked to define biblical times. To me, it was just one giant ignorant error in human history, but to be specific, which period of that ignorant era I'm referring to, it could be any, but I guess Christians would appreciate if maybe I referred to the time of Jesus. So from 0 to 36, 37 AD. If you were alive during that time period and you witnessed paranoid schizophrenic behavior, Turetts syndrome, or even an epileptic seizure, what do you think, or how do you think yourself and people of that time would interpret that type of human behavior? You know, someone just randomly lashing out and or someone uncontrollably convulsing on the ground. I suppose the sheer coincidence of this occurring at some type of religious ritual or Christian ritual, or any type of ritual, I guess, prayer or otherwise, would probably compound the paranoia, or it would compound the ignorant judgments made of that mentally ill person infinitely. So if you were around then and you were part of the existing structure of understanding for that time, saw someone like that, what would you think? Would you think they were possessed? Would you think they were a demon? Would you think, you'd have to use the knowledge of that time. Now, what if I beamed myself back, 2,000 years and pulled you aside while someone was convulsing on the floor from a seizure and said, hey, this person's actually suffering from a neural condition called epilepsy, and the neural circuitry in their temporal lobe is shorting out, and it's what's causing them to convulse like that. Do you think you would turn to me and say, yeah, that sounds like an adequate explanation, logical and reasonable and scientific as well? Or would you have me strung up to a cross for trying to defend a demon? Something tells me I'd be hanging from something, or heresy, or whatever they called it back then, because the prevailing paradigm of that time was all about superstition and magic. It really had nothing to do with the actual understanding of anything. And people are going to point out certain things in the Bible that the Bible got right, and I guess I could point out certain things in Nostradamus' predictions that he got right. It's anecdotal. It's arbitrary at best. But even though, because you have to concede that is an ignorant, primitive, backwoods, tribal understanding of human behavior and conditioning and whatnot, people will turn around and say, well, yeah, it's all that, they didn't understand they didn't understand the scientific mechanisms of mental health and human behavior, but I'll live my entire life according to that primitive, tribal, ignorant, backwoods understanding of everything. I mean, I just use the example of mental health because it's easy to articulate the point. So I'd like to hear what you have to say, and correct me if I'm wrong. Thanks.